Now it's time for A Different View with Jennifer Alexander, Iva Cunningham, and Sarah Frank.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We've been on hiatus kind of celebrating the holidays, and a few other things have been going on with Jennifer and Sarah and myself, and so we're glad to be back. We've got Sarah Frank from Moms for Marijuana, excuse me, Sarah, and Jennifer Alexander. Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Yeah, lots of grub. That's right, you were here. Yes. Yay. Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that. What about you, Jennifer? You had a good meal too.
Yeah. We went over to our friend's house and they cooked us dinner, so we had it easy.
Yeah, this year I cooked. I do it, every once in a while, and I really do enjoy entertaining. I like having people over. It's fun, especially being around people that you love and you want, you enjoy spending time with. So it's always nice.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So we haven't been back to Idaho to see my family, my biological family, in years for Thanksgiving. But anyway, so I had a good weekend this weekend. I was in Key West. It was awesome.
Much warmer there than here, huh?
Oh, it was incredible. I'm a little burnt. I'd like to say tan, but that never happens. I just get darker freckles. But it was great. It was the NORML Legal Conference, and it's not one that's necessarily open to all attorneys, but it is a collection of some of the best attorneys in the country that are working on cannabis reform, cannabis law reform, different cases that they're working on. They kind of collaborate together, advise each other, give direction. You've got people from Goldstein, Ann Davis in New Jersey, who's the fabulous attorney. You've got Keystrop and Allen and a variety of different people, but they're basically talking about, cannabis law. And, NORML sometimes gets a reputation of not really doing anything, but you really need lawyers to write law.
Yeah.
And to bail your butt out of jail if you do get arrested. And people have different opinions about attorneys and that sort of thing. But if I want someone to do something for them, I'm going to look for an expert in that field. And if it's medicine, I'm going to go for an expert in whatever that is. And if it's law, I'm going to look for an attorney.
We get a lot of people writing us with medical questions and legal questions, and we always say, go to a professional. I'm not a lawyer.
That's not my
I
pedigree.
can give you my opinion, but that's all it is.
But it won't be a legal opinion.
And it won't help you, with
it is
the
amazing
laws.
how many people, especially in this movement, I find it more in this movement, people ask you a lot of legal questions. I get peppered a lot at work.
And you want to help them, but you're not legal. You don't have the experience that the lawyers would have, which is what they really need.
Right. And and don't ask me, I'm guessing. And I'll tell you that I'm just guessing. This is my understanding.
This is what I would do.
But I would call an attorney. That's always this,
Right.
almost every day. I think I say that like 50 times a day. Like, you need to call an attorney. But it was, it was interesting. We had a great time. Key West, if you've ever been there, is a wonderful little island. It's like 5 miles around, 4 miles across. Lots of legends and myths and haunted stories.
Ghost tour, right?
I did a ghost tour. That was cool.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy that. I thought it was a blast. I learned a lot about some of the history there. The grave sites that were moved and removed, and now I don't think that they know where a lot of them are. But that was kind of interesting. But I do love their stories and their haunts. There were pirates everywhere. Hundreds of people dressed up as pirates.
Was there something going on, or is that just
no?
the normal?
That's just what they do. That's just what they do. It made no sense.
Nice.
Hurry up, take your time. Hurry up.
Oh, the cat guy. There was a wonderful cat guy. He takes these. He saves these feral cats, or not feral cats, but cats from the Humane Society, and then he trains them. And I didn't understand a word of what he was saying.
Except for that. Hurry up, take your time.
That was the only thing, but he was hysterical. I mean, I don't, he would do all these bizarre gestures, and it was just hilarious. He was funny. The cats were, they were somewhat entertaining, but I really enjoyed watching him. But I got to see an iguana up close, one that's, running around there. That was not, that was weird. The other interesting thing is that the island is a bird sanctuary. which explains all the feral chickens everywhere. and you know, it's interesting. You walk through a neighborhood here in Portland, and we're a very dog-friendly community, and you hear dogs barking. You don't hear dogs barking there. You hear chickens crowing. It's very strange. Well, we're going to be right back. I hope you'll join us. The number is 971...
971-533-7111, coming up with our guest from
Sabrina Fendrick from the NORML Women's Alliance.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So stay tuned.
A great show.
We'll be right back. Alternative Medical Choices offers healthcare the way it should be. Easy to access, patient-centered, team-based, and quality-focused. We offer a variety of natural, affordable healthcare treatment options like primary care, group acupuncture, massage, and assistance with OMNP registration. As a patient, you will have a team of experts working with you to make you the best you can be. Call Alternative Medical Choices at 503-288-5579 or check us out on the web at altmedchoices.com.
It's so sticky, smells so nice. I can keep it blazing all night, and baby, you can smoke as much as you like. I said you can smoke as much as you like.
And we're back with A Different View. I'm Sarah Frank, and I'm here with Iva Cunningham and Jennifer Alexander, and we have Sabrina Fendrick on the line. Sabrina, are you there? Hello? Well, we've got Sabrina Fendrick on the line. She's from the NORML Women's Alliance. She's the coordinator there, and I met Sabrina a couple years ago. We did an interview with her. She's pretty much who gave Moms for Marijuana the Head Start. So
we got you here, Sabrina.
Hello?
Hi, Sabrina.
Sabrina, are you there?
Hi, sorry, my phone line dropped.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's really late there on the East Coast. We're really happy to have you. Can you just kind of tell us a little bit about the NORML Women's Alliance?
Sure. Well, the NORML Women's Alliance started, I think, about 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. I'm starting to lose a little bit of track now, but it basically was a general idea that there weren't a lot of women in the movement. Well, there were women, but there were the ratio of male to female was very imbalanced, and we just really needed to start some sort of outreach program to kind of recruit and retain women. And we formed a group together of a couple of women across the country and started doing different kinds of campaigns to kind of messages that were focused on women that would appeal to mainstream women, you know, the soccer moms, and even people that don't smoke cannabis but still believe in legalizing marijuana. So we've come a really long way now, and we get in the media. We've had we had a great conference, with the NORML, of course. We've gone to several different events and affairs. We just came back from a great trip in California where we went from Humboldt to Los Angeles, which was a great experience, especially for me because I'm out on the East Coast in D.C., and just to see the enthusiasm and everything that's going on out here, it's just a completely different fight. It's just really fascinating. But basically what the Women's Alliance does is reaches out and advocates for women on behalf of women and all of the unique issues that marijuana and women have.
Right. And I was saying before we got you on the line that you did a kind of a Mother's Day interview for Moms for Marijuana, which is kind of what pushed us, through that gate and got us going a little. And I've watched the NORML Women's Alliance just grow. I'm on the committee, and I don't do as much as, all of you guys, but it's interesting to watch you and just thrilling to have you here tonight and talk to you about this. I wanted to ask you about the Sister to Sister program. Maybe tell people a little bit about what SSDP's got going on with you guys there.
Well, the Sister to Sister program is something Stacia Cosner and I started about 9 months ago, where one of the kind of tools we were going to utilize to make this whole program work was to kind of implement a mentor system, because there really isn't that a nurturing kind of environment. It didn't really exist before, at least to me and a lot of other women. So we wanted to set up some sort of kind of official program where women could feel like they would be connected with other women to kind of provide that support network. The women could learn from each other. Originally, it was going to be to kind of pair younger students up with older seasoned activists and kind of have the younger students train the older ones in, social media and all of the tools that they need to use now. And the seasoned activists would kind of pass on their experience of activism and the kind of work that they've been doing over the years onto the young students.
And that's such a great idea that, when I started, I guess, activism, it took so long for me to accept activism, and it would have been great to have somebody there that I could talk to and a mentor. And I've been speaking with Anna Diaz, and she had a little sister here in Oregon through the program, and she's now connected us. So it's not just connecting, the students with the older ones. It's connecting just different groups and different women who need each other in this.
Exactly.
And it's wonderful.
Sabrina, could I ask?
That's what I was going to... Oh, sorry. Yes.
That's okay. This is Jennifer. I was just wondering, how large is the Women's Alliance, and how does somebody go about getting involved?
Well, I mean, it's kind of unofficial. You don't really have to donate. We have a Facebook page, and then we have about 20,000 or so followers on our Facebook page. We have an email list where people can sign up on our website to get, email updates from us, which I think has... Last time I heard, I
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I can't really remember what that one is. I mean, I don't.
A fairly large community, though. Yeah. And what's the website that they can go to sign up to get on that list?
It's normal.org/women, and there's also, that's just kind of the easiest thing to do. You can also there's a section on the website on normal.org/women where you can fill out a form if you want to get even more involved kind of on the ground where you are. We're looking for community leaders in local areas of women to kind of start establishing a network of women that believe in getting involved in reforming the laws and kind of creating that whole support network where they are. And so we can set you up with something like that if you go to fill out this form on our website.
Sabrina, I have a question for you. This is Iva, by the way. Thank you for being on this show. Some of the issues that I've always talked about is we need more women in the movement. We need more women in the movement. And then I have the concern about some women kind of leading, how do I put this? I want to be tactful because I don't want to ostracize anybody, but kind of leading with their assets, if you know what I'm saying. And I'm always kind of torn between trying to attract more women to the movement. But
are you speaking in terms of like the buds and boobs
Yeah.
versus like the more conservative
I was trying
women?
to be nice. Assets. Yes, they're
Just
assets.
say butts and boobs.
Yeah.
That's
Buds and boobs.
There's differences. Yeah.
more assets. It works.
And I'm always torn between encouraging them to be involved, but also trying to get them to understand that sending the right message to the people who are opponents to or who are opponents. How do you address that? I mean, how do you tiptoe that line between trying to invite more women in, but not, but try to control the message a little bit? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm not doing a very good job.
I totally I get exactly what you're saying, and what I would say to that is I look at it as in the macro, and I'm casting a huge net, and I'm trying to attract the greatest number of people, and the greatest number of people equals like mainstream women. I mean, they're the greatest number of voters. They're just the largest population,
right.
quantitatively speaking. So when I do any kind of outreach and things like that, I have the things that I do, I think, appeal to the kind of women that are
right, like you're going to have professional people approaching you if you act professionally, and I think that's kind of what the Normal Women's Alliance does, is it attracts those professional types and the moms and the average woman, and not these busty blondes who want to be in it for the attention, I guess, is what I see. But
and there's a difference between these. I mean, the women that say they're quote doing it for the cause, when I mean really, you're getting paid, you're getting coverage, you're getting time for print, whatever. Chances are they're probably also in the porn industry or some other industry that has to do with taking off your clothes, and they're just finding this as another niche that likes that kind of industry, that market.
And that's what cannabis does, is it connects all these different industries, and one of them is the adult industry, and I think just stepping away from it, and saying, okay, that's just a part of it, let's focus on
but they're in the minority, they're in the minority, so it's not really like it's there, and it's starting to be picked up. Like newspapers are starting. I know even the Sacramento Bee covered it, and then the Mirror in the United Kingdom did a story on it as well. I think it was the story on the Sacramento Bee story, but still, I mean, they're picking up the kinds of the issues that we've been talking about and speaking out against to put out, make sure that people know that there's a voice and a group of women that represent cannabis that is not that.
Right. It's funny because I've been in this movement for probably almost 1.5 to 2 years now, and I don't see a lot of the buds and boobs, but I don't go to a lot of the the convention kind of things where apparently some of them come out. But most of the women that I see are the more mainstream average woman, and it always impresses me at how many of us there are. Just the average woman.
Well, and I'm not saying I agree with you. I think that there certainly are more professional women that use cannabis. Certainly, a lot more women that are in the closet, so to say, so to speak, just because they have their children, their livelihoods, and that sort of thing. But I do think that there's still a fair number of women that are the buds and boobs. But I think the imbalances is how it's portrayed in the media, which is what my concern has always been, monitoring our message, so that it doesn't get muddled down with that, because that's sensationalism is what runs the media. It isn't the truth. If it was the truth, this issue would be put to bed a long time ago.
It gets eyeballs. Yeah.
Exactly. So and I always feel like I need to tiptoe that message, even not just with women, but with other people, that look, our message is legalization. Don't put anybody in jail, for using a plant that's benign.
Stop looking at the messenger and start talking about the message.
Right. Thank you. That's great. I love that.
Thank you.
Nice.
Messengers
Yeah,
start
that's a
listening
good
to
one.
messages. That's great, Sarah.
Well, thank you so much, Sabrina, for joining us.
Thank you.
The website again for the Normal Women's Alliance, if you could give it to us, please.
www.normal.org/women.
Perfect. And we'll be right back after this break.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sabrina.
Trouble goes round and round me. Oh, I'm all alone with no one to pet me. But old rocking chair ain't never gonna get me. 'Cause when I get low, oh, I get high. When I get low, oh, I get high.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson, and I need your help. Our marijuana laws are terribly unfair, and they make criminals out of law-abiding citizens. Nearly 2,000 Americans are arrested every day on marijuana charges, and we are unfairly destroying the lives and careers of hundreds of thousands of people simply because they smoke marijuana. These are not criminals. They are average citizens like you, good neighbors who work hard, raise families, pay taxes, and contribute to their communities. And it's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. We need your help to end marijuana prohibition once and for all. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
And I just gotta say, this song hits very close to my home. This is a true story. Can't find no work, at least nothing I will do in this old Mid-East town. Pockets are empty and I got too much pride. Won't see me handing out no Walmart stars, and the food prices keep growing up. And the weed I'll sell on the weekend ain't paying me enough. And I can grow no garden, the snow covers it up. California, I'm coming home to you. Packed up my sandals, packed up my dungarees, put all my tie-dyes in a box. Lord, I won't need them, and I won't need no shirt. Probably won't even need my socks. Packed up my little car and I'm on my way. The wipers are busted, pray I don't get no rain. Then somewhere outside Elko, my tires they went flat. California ain't holding me back. Here in California, fruit hangs heavy on the vine, and the fields turn brown in the summer. So thank God for the weed, water, and wine. Insert little solo here. Stop me, child. Wait, did we do that one? Okay, yeah, wait. got me a job in the ganja picking fields. Fragrance much sweeter than gold. Got me a sweater and a hoodie made of hemp. The winters do get cold. Yeah, the winters they get rainy and cold. So I sit and watch the waves crash on the rocks.
Hi, welcome back. You're listening to A Different View. I'm Iva Cunningham. I've got Jennifer Alexander and Sarah Frank. And we are A Different View, talking about marijuana laws and legalization and how it affects women from a woman's point of view. It affects men too. Children and our society, families, every part of it. And as I mentioned earlier, I was in Key West. My Russ and I were both in Key West. And for those of you who don't know, Russ Belleville and I are married.
You sound so happy about that.
I mean, it's always a shock to me when I find out people don't know that. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. But you know, and I'm not ever in the position. Thank you, dear. I'm never in the position of needing or feeling obligated to defend Russ. I know he's a quick wit. I know he knows how to use his words, and he can debate better than probably most people can. But every once in a while, I have to pipe up. And an article that he wrote a long time ago was published in a magazine, and it's created a great deal of controversy. And what was the title of the article, Russ?
The Danger of Dabs.
The Danger of Dabs.
Well, and it's subtitled.
This is not your this really isn't your father's Woodstock weed.
Right.
Well, and and well, it's being touted as adding to the reefer madness. And you know, and I just felt compelled to talk about this because I think this is something years ago I used to run a PR firm, and I did a lot of different events across the country. World Teachers Conference, the tobacco industry, some others I'm not real proud of. But you know, working in PR, there's a rule: control your message. It's all about your message. It's not about what you believe. It's about what they think of you and your message. And I think in this piece, and while I don't know how it's going to be perceived, but I do think that, you know, calling someone a poor activist because they poke a stick at something we should be paying attention to.
Let me read the line that has drawn the controversy so that there's some context for the people that haven't read the story yet. There's a full article here, and it's at cushmagazine.com. But the line in particular that has drawn the conflict is, with dabs, your local action news team gets to do a marijuana story that shows crack pipe torches used on a black sticky heroin-looking goo made from a process that blows up like meth labs. And so it's kind of, as far as the PR message there, it's taking all of the fearsome
it's like
images.
It's validating that reefer madness. They're going to blow themselves up. Oh my God, it's heroin. It's the gateway drug. The imagery of that, and you know, and as I've always said that we fight in this movement a moral objection, and we fight a perception of, you know, if you're calling it medicine or calling it recreation, we have a perception to fight. And if you're talking medicine, and I'm not talking about recreation, I'm just strictly talking about medicine, you know, the general public is used to a nice little pill that looks like, I don't know if you can get in close on this, but looks a little bit like this. That's a nice little pill. This is what the general public who's never used cannabis accepts as medicine. It's, you know, it comes in a nice package. There's a dose there. It's titrated. We know what the therapeutic range is. We know what what the components of. We know what the first pass effect it's going to be. We know all this other stuff that happens with that, and that's what the general public is used to. We have a long ways to go before we get here, and that's just the general public. And I'm not saying that dabs are bad. I've had my share. I'll admit I've had my share, and it wasn't for medical purposes. I'll be straight up and say that. It wasn't for medical purposes. It was fun. It was heavy, and it's not my favorite. But I do acknowledge that for some people it is. It is medicine. And that's okay. I'm not judging that use of it. I'm saying that when you go and parade that out to the media, who's not ready to accept this, and they see that, and you just basically, or that noise, you've just validated their fears. So you've added another level to this reefer madness.
Well, and I think it's safe to say that we're not talking about the general public. We're talking about a very select portion of the public that we're trying to reach.
Right.
Because there is I think the most recent poll was 52% of Americans supporting legalization. Most Americans, at this point, being 52%, aren't afraid of marijuana.
No.
They're okay with that flower. But there's 48% of Americans then that we need to convince. And the media is going to go to great lengths to show them this scary imagery to try to sway them away from us.
Right.
And so we need to be prepared to deal with that message.
Exactly. And not only that, but that there's a good chunk of our population that is not educated, doesn't want to get educated, are listening to 6-second sound bites, and they don't want to go any further. They don't want to I don't want to say they're stupid, but we do have sheeple in this country. And, trying to convince those sheeple after their fears have been validated is really hard to turn that around. It's difficult.
I found people don't like to be called sheeple, but
I'm not saying everyone
but the
is.
reality is that our education system doesn't teach critical thinking anymore.
No.
We don't ask questions. We don't look deeper. We believe what we're told as a majority. That's how we're taught to be.
Right.
So it's not so much that there's anything wrong with us for believing this. We were told to believe what we were told.
Right.
We go through
we
12
all
years of
believed
school
what
being
we were
told what's the right answer and what's the wrong answer, not how to solve a problem, and not that there
Not
can be
thinking
grays.
in the yes, exactly. Not the lines in
That's
between.
what needs to be done. That's what people need to be doing, is
Right.
looking at both sides and making those decisions.
Well, none of us live in the black or the white.
Right.
We all live in that gray area.
But
Everybody.
we need to present our side with, I think is what you're trying to get at, is that our message we need to present
Right,
in a certain way.
and it goes back to what I was saying earlier with the buds and the boobs and that, because it's your message has to be clear and unadulterated. Did I say that right? Thank you. And unadulterated with the fears with the boobs and that and the torch and the gabagoo and
the general public who doesn't consume cannabis and has this fear of cannabis,
Right.
Well,
doesn't know how it's consumed. And when you throw torches in there and throw, for instance, I knew this lady who found burnt cotton balls in her backyard, and she automatically assumed they had to do with my consumption of cannabis.
burnt cotton balls.
Exactly. She doesn't know. She didn't know how cannabis was consumed or what cotton balls, and that is related to other drugs, cotton balls.
I think my mother still thinks you snorted.
So there's taking this a little step further than just the public in general, though. And I don't have any examples readily handy, but in courts, I know it's happened in Oregon. I believe it's happened in California, and I'm sure in a couple of other states as well. There has been a lot of controversy over whether or not any of these extractions actually are marijuana. Like, this is a topic of debate in court. So some of the medical marijuana laws are trying, not the laws themselves, but the people of the opposition have tried to exclude these extractions from protection.
Yeah.
So it's not just that, the news will make it look bad. It's in court. We're fighting to make sure that they understand this is the same thing.
Exactly, a really good point. In Oklahoma, I just learned this weekend that extractions will get you life in prison. In Florida, where we just were, resin from your bowl, the stuff that we would scrape out or clean out of a bowl, will get you 19 years. So those are the people. That's what we're trying to overcome. So it's not that I don't think you should have the right to do a dab, and I just don't think that maybe it's the smartest thing to do it on TV.
It's
or
like crack cocaine.
Right.
They look at this and they say cocaine is this drug, and then you make it harder by making it into crack.
Right.
That's what they think.
Exactly.
It's not what it is. Cannabis is not harmful in all of its forms. But they don't know that.
Well, and even with the crack cocaine versus cocaine disparity, that's recently been discussed in courts again, and they've tried to bring these two together to say it's the same drug. Why are we treating people differently?
Because that's the mentality that our society has, and that's what we have to overcome. And we got to do it every which way we can.
So it's probably safe to presume that all of our listeners know what dabs are, but just really quick for anybody listening who may not know, basically what this is it's an extraction from butane or some other sort of solvent that pulls out the THC and cannabinoids and puts them into a concentrated form. So all you're doing is taking what's in that flower and concentrating it down to a form that you can use a smaller amount to have the same effect.
Somebody put to me like this: when you grow corn for corn syrup, it's kind of the same thing. Corn syrup is the corn, but it's the extraction
of it. Right. So we're going to cut to a break here for a minute. We'll be back and we'll talk some more about these various issues. Thanks for being with us.
Told me she saw something that she wasn't supposed to see. You and another woman making love, I thought you understood. You can't do any sneaking down in the neighborhood. Well, it's a small town and people talk, step out of line, and you're gonna get caught down in the neighborhood.
I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a journalist.
I'm a student.
I'm a teacher.
I'm a representative.
I have cancer.
The outdated laws of prohibition are more dangerous than the plant itself. I lost my scholarship.
I was fired.
20 million arrests since 1965. This is getting ridiculous.
Our prisons are overcrowded with non-violent offenders.
We have the opportunity to change.
This is costing our country billions of dollars.
Making my family and I fight in a courtroom is difficult enough when I'm already fighting through chemotherapy.
There's no reason to be scared by tradition anymore.
We can stop this.
We can stop this.
We are the American people.
We can stop this.
And you have our support.
We're old.
Young.
Straight.
Gay.
We're every race and nationality.
And we're not going to give up.
You can tax it.
You can regulate it.
Apply age restrictions.
You can create millions of new jobs.
We can save our economy.
President Obama?
It's time for legalization.
Legalization.
Yes.
We
can.
I'm kinda high, let me excuse myself. But it seems like it's just moments since we met. I'm kinda high, let me introduce myself. Did we meet before, or am I just kinda high? If you think it a little strange, dear, take a puff on this and then you'll dig my sweet refrain, girl, when I sing it again. I'm kinda high, let me excuse myself. But it seems like it's just moments since we met. I'm kinda high, let me introduce myself. Did we meet before, or am I just kinda high?
Welcome back. You're listening to A Different View with Jennifer Alexander, Sarah Frank, and Iva Cunningham. We've been talking about dabs. A little dabble do ya? Is that how it goes?
Dabba do.
So on the break, we were discussing that the biggest problem is not so much the extraction itself, but the perception of the delivery method.
Right.
And in my opinion, my husband's a dabber. In my opinion, I believe that I'm not fond of the little propane torches like we have here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really fond of those. I'm not really fond of fire in general, but there's a lot of good, I think, in the way that this delivery system is coming along as our industry has progressed. Now, you heat up this skillet, and then you have these globes and water filters, and basically you're using a very little amount of marijuana
Very little.
overall to have much more significant effects on your body. So
Correct.
you're inhaling less carcinogens, you're inhaling less of the potential impurities that you would be inhaling if it was a joint. These are all good things.
Right.
But it looks scary.
Right.
And that's what we need to address with, is that it looks scary.
It's the delivery method. And, and we were also talking about how on the East Coast, a lot of people don't like to, they won't smoke cannabis except for in a joint, because a pipe like this reminds them of crack cocaine. And if you were back east, you know how bad that problem was, or is still. And they don't want to be associated that way. They don't want that perception. And we were talking also about Occupy Portland, Jennifer, and you want to talk a little bit about that? You made a really good point.
I don't know if I want to call him out by name, but but one of our fellow activists was here, and at the first day of the Occupy Portland, thousands of people showed out to march for Occupy Portland, and prior to going to march, he did his regular daily routine, which included doing a few dabs to go out, especially when he was going to be out that long marching and all. He wanted to make sure that he was well medicated for the duration of the event, and he did a YouTube video that showed his process, and his intent was to educate people about this very thing.
Right.
But the people opposed to not only Occupy Portland but marijuana took this, and they were, very downing this image, because what they saw was not what he was intending to display.
Exactly. And let me make something very clear. I know this individual quite well, and he's a lovely, lovely human being, and he absolutely uses this for medicinal purposes.
Absolutely.
And I have seen from the first time I met him to the last time I've seen him, how much that has improved. Does it still make me uncomfortable with the torch? And
But to his credit, he said that he would have to smoke joints all day long, nonstop.
Well,
he couldn't go out if he didn't do
prohibition.
this.
Right.
It has to do with, it always ties back to prohibition of cannabis. If we had a method where we could take one of these pills and it would equal what a dab does,
well, and
then
on
it
that
wouldn't be a
note,
problem. Because I have to take multiple of these pills because they're not the right strength, and we don't have that program set into place where we can get that extra strength Tylenol when we have a headache,
Right.
But
Or
we have to guess with our stuff, and dabs help people because it's a faster delivery method. It, and it's also associated with partying, and that's what scares people, is the party.
Right.
the humor is, though, that if you were walking around with a bottle full of those little capsules, even an officer would probably be like, "Oh, that's medicine." Nobody would be questioning it,
because that's the accepted form.
Right.
That's the accepted
because it's
form.
a pill.
Right.
And it's a good pill. It hasn't been processed. It's the only process is taking that, extracting that.
Right.
This is the same thing. If this was filled with Rick Simpson's oil, it would be the same thing.
And for those of you who don't know what Rick Simpson's oil is, highly concentrated cannabis oil, just a different extraction process. But you're right, and that's kind of my thing. And maybe I'm the old fuddy-duddy that is like, whoa, that's a little extreme for me.
Prohibition has delayed the evolution of
Right.
medical cannabis.
Yes,
it's
yes.
not in a pill form. It's not in this form that somebody can take an inhaler and receive that the fastest way. We're having to use a pipe, and we're having to use a torch.
And on that note, I have to say, I totally respect that view, that a person, especially like an older woman who's not comfortable with the idea of smoking marijuana, might prefer a pill that's or an inhaler.
Right.
I don't want an inhaler. I want a joint.
Me too.
And both of those should be okay.
Right.
But we haven't developed to get beyond that. So we're forcing medical users to use recreational methods of dealing with their...
Exactly.
And some medical users would prefer that it be a lot more medicalized. Some recreational users don't want it to be more medicalized.
Different, and that's why there's so many different delivery methods with regular, modern medicine.
And I guess from my perspective, I'd like to see this kind of thing be stronger for medical purposes, but don't take away my flour and don't take away my hash. Don't because those are things I actually enjoy. I would much rather have that for recreational purposes to relax and enjoy.
Right, taking a medication to taking a medication to decrease your blood pressure, and then or your blood sugar, whatever, and then taking insulin on the spot, or taking an asthma, or, using an inhaler on the spot. Those are two different delivery methods. And then you have, your recreational methods, and they need to be distinguished, and cannabis doesn't allow that.
Right, because we're not that far. But we're not just that far. To me, to get there, we have to start with what people's comfort zones are, and
we have
then
to explain that it's all medicine.
Right,
it's education.
It doesn't matter.
It's all about education, but it's also about keeping our message pure and on point. And I think far too often we come from the place of, well, I don't give a crap. This is how I feel, and I want to say, yeah, you're right. That's the way it should be. You're absolutely right. It shouldn't matter if I walked in a thong and tie dye. I wouldn't, but it shouldn't matter. But it does.
Right.
And
and it's always mattered.
It always matters. Your message needs to be clear and on point.
And not everybody does look at the message before looking at the messenger.
Right. And I love that you said that, because that's absolutely the truth.
Well, it's
sort of on topic, but sort of not. There's a new business that's opened up in Albany. One of my friends down there, Rhea Graham, has just opened. It's the Canna Kitchen, I believe it's called. And the whole point of her thing is to create the opportunity for patients to do the pills, the extractions, and in a controlled environment. I'm so impressed with the idea behind it. I mean, obviously she's not going to be able to do everybody from that one location,
Right.
But the idea behind what she's trying to do there is to help patients find those methods that are less recreational, but going to meet their needs, whether it be like the butters, the oils, the pills,
I still have to smoke even though I take them, and if I could make them myself, it would be easier and make them stronger. And
she gave me a couple of little samples though of little pills like that with an extract oil in it, like I think it was a glycerin oil, and there were a few times where I had to run out the door to go do something, and I needed to take medicine, but I didn't have time to sit there, roll up a joint or pack a bowl, or and then puff on it, or jump in the car, right? And so I was able to take a couple of the pills and go about my day, and they were very effective, so that it's nice to have those options too, which right now a lot of patients don't have. They can either.
And I don't want to have to eat anything anytime I want to take it.
A brownie here, a brownie
there.
No, I can't do that.
Gain a few pounds.
I already have the munchies to deal with. I don't want to get the munchies from eating.
I always call brownies twofers. It fixes the munchies and gives you the medicine. So twofers. I hear what you're saying. I understand that, but I always go back to what is, who are we talking to? Who's our audience? Who are the people we're trying to sway? And are those people open to hearing that message?
We were having a discussion on Facebook the other day in one of our Idaho groups about how, we have different ways that we approach the public. We have public smokeouts where we smoke weed on Front Street to reach those people who are going to be like, whoa, they're smoking weed on Front Street, and then we have educational meetings, and we have meet and greets where there's no weed involved. We don't want you to bring your children down to Front Street while we smoke weed, but we do want you to bring your family to our educational meeting and have some pizza and, learn something.
Time and a place.
There's not going to be any drugs there.
Thank you. There's a time and a place. And I think, I've been in a private party where there was a table set up and people were doing dabs, and that was great. And, people take their turns, and then the rest of the time they're socializing and mingling and networking. And then, I've been to friends' houses and they've brought that out, and that's fine. And I don't, that's one thing. But when we're talking about people where we want to educate them or inform them of the benefits, we don't start out by poking a stick at what scares them. And it's unfortunate,
Well, I get it a lot. I get it a lot. People get really, really freaked out when they hear moms and marijuana, and they automatically assume that our children are smoking weed.
I know, I get that too. Yeah. No.
No, wait a minute. Look at the message, not just at the name.
Right, right. And and there's a time and a place for doing that. And I think it's effective that you say moms for marijuana, because I think that it does conjure different images in people's heads, but enough for them to want to inquire and ask.
Like why?
Not mom's on marijuana, though. Mom's
Right.
for marijuana.
Right, and not, and it doesn't say
not-
mom's giving marijuana to their kids. It just says mom's for marijuana. And I mean, and you know, but it says just enough to entice people, and be controversial. And I think there is a time and a place to be controversial. And I think there's an effective way to be controversial, and I think there's an ineffective way to be
You're just
controversial.
saying we need to be aware of when that time and that place
Exactly.
is. I haven't
And-
read
and-
the article, or I'm sorry, Russ, or you know, I'm just basing it off of what we're talking about,
Right.
and there is a time and a place.
And I think that's the whole point of that, and the whole point of me going on about the boobs and the buds. It's just like stay on point with our
Let's
message.
approach our
Whether you're
college
recreation
kids
or your
with
medicine,
boobs.
it doesn't really matter. It matters that we legalize and we stop locking people up, and I think everyone can agree on that.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take another break and we'll be back for our last few minutes. You're listening to A Different View. Thanks for joining us. If you do want to call in, it's 971-533-7111. Hope you'll join us. Right back.
Well, I paid my dues to make it. Everybody wants me to be what they want me to be. I'm not happy when I try to fake it. Yeah, that's why I'm easy. Alright, yeah, easy like Sunday morning. I'm easy.
Hear Marijuana Compassion and Common Sense with Lanny Swerdlow from Loma Linda, California, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific with replays at 2 a.m. Also, catch the morning replays every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific and the weekend replay every Saturday at 4 a.m. Pacific, right here on the NORML Network.
Merry Christmas, everybody! Merry Christmas! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Well, it's Christmas time again. Decorations are all hung by the fire. Everybody's singing, all the bells are ringing out, 'cause it's Christmas all over again. Yeah, again.
Who's coming in? Who do we want to talk about? Hi, welcome back to A Different View.
Sorry, we were all listening to Josh there.
Yeah, we got all
Yeah,
excited
but
about Josh. Christmas all over the world. I love that little tune. He does a
My
good
son
job.
informed me there are 20 days until Christmas.
He would know.
Yes.
I knew at that age. I don't know now, but well, we were talking about dabs and political messages and keeping our message on point. And somebody had mentioned it's a marketing issue. Yeah, and that's just it. We're trying to market legalization.
And people are using boobs and
buds
and take out the cannabis, and it's any other product.
Well,
that we're trying to
I mean,
sell,
and what I
sex
was saying
sells.
earlier is that everybody uses sex to sell. Everybody does.
But there are other ways to go about it also.
Right, but
mortuaries do not use sex to sell.
Some do.
Oh Lord.
Okay, whoa, wait. Let's
way off.
Just kidding. I haven't been to that cemetery. But when we were talking about, sex does sell. I mean, Budweiser does it. The Budweiser girls, pharmaceutical companies, Viagra, Tadalafil, even hair treatments for men, all that stuff. That all those things use sex to sell, and it isn't whether or not that's appropriate or not appropriate, or whether it offends me or not. The issue is that it muddles the message. It takes away from what we're trying to get across to people, and I think that we're smarter than that. I think we're better than that, and I think we have a lot more facts, and we can do a better job. And I think that's all I am asking is just to, we don't need anything to sell the truth. The truth is the truth. We don't
Let's
need
present
anything
that
to
and
sell
let
the
that
facts
sell
because
itself.
they exist in plenty.
That's what I love about this whole movement, and what I kind of got wrapped up into is that I don't have to really do anything except present cannabis for what it is.
Right.
It sells itself.
Tell the truth, and people will be educated. I mean, that's it.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is that I think that a lot of people, and the Dabs article being one of those controversial issues that sort of brings this out in people, but there's a number of them. The dispensaries in Oregon is another one. The list goes on and on.
Oh, sure.
But I think that what comes about is that we all have a different role to play and a different audience to reach. And I think that while some of us may be concerned about the one side, other people are concerned about the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, if we're like, oh, don't do dabs, that'll make everybody look bad. Well, no, because people need those dabs.
Let's
So there's
focus on that.
yeah, and so what I like to encourage people to do in anything is to be critical, but be polite about it, because those discussions allow us to see how the other side sees it and address those conflicts. And I think that that's ultimately all we need to do, is have those conversations. And a lot of time people break down and they start like arguing with each other and calling names, and they don't discuss the topic at hand.
Right. We get distracted too easily. I think, it's a really good point to have conflict in this movement is necessary. I mean, conflict is good. Conflict is not always bad. When it becomes bad is when we start doing the personal attack and we start tearing the person down instead of the message.
Conflict is always good. How we deal with it determines whether it's good or bad.
Right.
You need conflict. Conflict is how we learn about each other.
Well, and I let Steve Elliott posted something on Facebook tonight that I think is appropriate, and I don't care if you agree with me or not. I just don't expect you to call me names.
Right.
I mean, I want to have open debate. I want to have open discourse.
It's okay for us to butt heads and have differentiating opinions, but let's be polite and use our manners.
Right.
But pointing out the truth doesn't make you a hater.
Right.
You have to discuss what I mean.
Well,
no matter what it is, even if you completely vehemently disagree with it,
it's a matter of checks and balances too. And it's there's this saying, if you're the president and you're marching along to your own drum and you refuse to listen to anybody else, you'll march everybody right off the bridge or off the cliff. They're another cliche. But along the way, if you're willing to listen to your advisors or people who happen to have a broader view, then you might not be chasing us all off the cliff. And I think that's all that we need to keep in mind here, is that we're not we're here to keep our message going. We're here to keep legalization a topic of interest for everyone. And we need to be mindful of how that message gets presented to the public. That's all.
And I think we need to, if there are different ways to present information to different sections of the public, and that's okay. And to do that through that, outlet is okay, but let's focus on the message first. Let's get the message and make sure it's the same all the way across the board, and then you go present it through your methods.
And we don't need to convolute our message with all these other images, because it is fiber, fuel, medicine. It is good for the environment. It is a safer choice.
It is a cure.
It is a cure.
The list goes on and on.
Then exactly, the list goes on and on.
I think we're just about out of time, but I just wanted to say I think the biggest thing that we all need to do is to be prepared to defend our position, defend it with integrity and honestly and calmly.
Right.
But whatever it is that we choose to present, just be prepared to defend it, because that's what we need to do.
Right. And we should be defending our legalization and not defending our intake methods.
We need to remember that we're defending cannabis, not how we use it, not how we present it, not
how we use it.
Let's defend cannabis. We're the only voice it has.
Right. It has nothing to do with whether you want to do dabs or if you want to smoke flower or if you prefer to eat it. It doesn't really matter. It's about the benefits of that plant. It's plain and simple.
Keep focusing on that.
Thanks for being with us. You're listening to A Different View. We're here every Monday at 8 p.m. We look forward to hearing from you next week. Thanks, Jennifer Alexander, Sarah Frank, and Iva Cunningham. See you next week.
Have a great night, everybody.
Catch a replay of A Different View tonight at 2 a.m. Local time, and other replays throughout the week. Our schedule's available at live.normal.org.
Temptation kind
Coming up next on the Normal Network, it's an hour of our favorite